Hey guys, if you don't know me, my name is Kenzie. I am mostly a music commentary channel, and welcome to my stream. Well, while you're watching this, it's probably going to be a video. So, today's stream is going to be a little bit different. Instead of talking about like something I normally wouldn't talk about on my channel and just I need to put it into a stream to kind of rant about it, I'm going to be talking about something that I could put on, like to talk about on Planet Stan Twitter, but I feel like doing in a stream because it's a very long and complicated thing that has a lot of layers to it. And the main thing I wanted to do was like just put my own perspective into this because whenever we do episodes of Planet Stan Twitter, we usually have this thing going on where a lot of people are talking at once, or a lot of people have like differing like points or perspectives. But what I really wanted to do is highlight my perspective of this. Because as someone who has kind of like lurked onto Stan Twitter like the last few years, I think I kind of know like a big reason why Billie Eilish is currently getting canceled and why people are like so quick to cancel her. I'm not saying that everyone who's canceling her right now is doing like the thing I'm talking about, but a lot of them are. So, Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish blew up like around late 2018ish and became like this ginormous superstar by 2019. And by ginormous, I mean literally ginormous. Every single one of her songs, not including remixes, has 100 million streams on Spotify. That is insane, especially for someone who is just started out, who's only had one album. The only artist I can think of who has like that same feat is maybe Post Malone. I think Post Malone does. And even Drake, he does not all his songs have 100 million streams. Like, so she like skyrocketed to success in like 2019. Like, she was breaking all these records because of this. Because she was able to like break all these records and like in such a short amount of time, people were constantly on her neck, especially 2000s pop stans. They were really mad that this person who they've never heard of before was breaking all these records. And instead of just like, hey, maybe, I don't know, learning about her, like learning about our new big pop star, they decided to jump to conclusions like, oh, well, I've never heard of her before, and she's blowing up, so clearly she's buying her success. And like, obviously, we've gone through this before. It's happening right now, again, with Olivia Rodrigo. They're not buying their success. You're just getting old, and you're not getting with the times, old man, That's basically what happened with Billie Eilish. A lot of people like just jumped to conclusions and said like, I've never heard of her before. I've never like seen her before. How does she have more Spotify listeners than this person or this person? And I just think that goes to show you that a lot of people are getting extremely out of touch, especially like people on Stan Twitter are getting extremely out of touch. Because most people on Stan Twitter, I'd say, are like in their teen years, but there are a lot of people, like mostly 2000 stans, who are in their 20s. So when they see people like Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, even the new like rappers on the XXL freshman list, which we'll talk about on my podcast, they see these like new artists, and because they're so used to like viewing themselves as like the center of the universe and themselves as like and what they grew up with as the center of the pop world, they cannot fathom a new person that they've never heard of before breaking records. And especially when she won those Grammys, people were horrible to her, just like saying all these nasty things, especially because, okay, Billie Eilish is very clearly inspired by Lana Del Rey, but here's something. Just because someone is inspired by another thing does not mean they can't be better than that thing. And I'm tired of like, people are constantly saying like, oh, because Lana inspired Billie Eilish, she deserved to win the Grammy over Billie because she inspired her. And that's like really stupid. That's not how Grammys like judge things. They try, like, I'm not saying they do this successfully, but the Grammys try to judge things based on quality. And so obviously, like, you can't measure quality by what is the most influential. You measure it on what is the most impactful. Like, I could sit here and say that Drake is like this very influential artist, and he probably is, but that doesn't mean he's like the best artist ever. That just means he's inspired a lot of people. Like, so this whole argument that Lana deserved the award, or even Taylor deserved the award because they inspired more people, is just so stupid. Like, very stupid. And so a lot of people were, like, especially, again, pop heads were very violent towards her, and it must have been, like, really sad. And in fact, I do think it's kind of funny how, like, Everything I Wanted is, like, kind of about how, like, if they, like, that line, like, if they knew that what they said would go straight to my head, would they say it again? that is basically what happened. Like, they saw that she did not want to keep winning these awards because, like, she was getting harassed for it, and they still gave her another award this year. And yeah, so I feel like a lot of people were waiting for Billie Eilish to like get canceled or to fall off because they were sick and tired of seeing her like beat records from Taylor, or like they did the same thing, I'd say, with Lil Nas X. Like, a lot of people were tired of Lil Nas X, like when Old Town Road peaked, like when Old Town Road like peaked higher than Me and You Need to Calm Down, or when like Call Me by Your Name overtook Peaches. A lot of people were just, again, like, just kind of waiting for Lil Nas X to do something wrong so they would get on his neck because they were tired of him getting all this positive attention. And now they're kind of doing it with Billie Eilish right now. So, by the way, I'm not saying that everyone who wants to cancel her right now is doing that for those purposes. I'm just saying that a lot of people who are behind the canceling are doing that, you know? I feel like if this was an artist who wasn't as, like, unfathomably like successful and unfathomably like popular, they probably wouldn't have been getting this much flack for it. But I mean, I guess that makes sense. But still, like, it's just kind of like, I feel like a lot of people should like review people's intentions when seeing what is going on. This is the video that's getting a lot of people upset about. So this is the Lost Cause music video, and in it there's like, she's like with her friends, they're hanging out, they're doing like friend stuff, you know, like they're playing with like spray, like that silly spray, like eating junk food, just like having fun. But there's a lot of allegations of queerbaiting. The word queerbaiting is usually used for people, like for characters. Like when a TV show hints at a gay relationship or hints at a queer character, but they don't really expand on the character's queerness, and instead they just kind of like, okay, I feel like a good example of this is when shows like they don't have the character be like openly gay, but then later on, like years later, they'll say, oh, we always had Ken in them as gay or bi or whatever, and it's like really stupid. Like, okay, that's cool and all, but like actually show it in the show, you know, or in the movie. People are accusing Billie of queerbaiting in this video because there's like some moments where she's very touchy-feely with her friends. And okay, there's this rumor going around that she like kissed a girl in the video. Here, like, I'll show you. So, okay, I know this looks like kissing, but like, I know this looks like she is kissing, like actually kissing her on the lips. But the thing is, this is not actually this girl's lips. Like, I'm pretty sure she put something over it because this is not what her actual lip texture looks like her lip size looks like. I'm pretty sure that's like one of those like toy things you put on your mouth, like here. Like, see, this is what her lips look like. They're not like very obnoxiously red like in this kiss. Like, it looks very like fake, if that makes sense. I'm pretty sure she didn't actually kiss the girl, you know? So like, people are accusing her of queerbaiting. It's very obviously like, okay, my opinion on this, like, okay, I guess I should technically give my disclaimers. I do not see anything like objectionable with the video, just looking at face value. It's literally just her hanging out with her friends, but people are like, oh, but they twerk together, but they like touch each other, and like, yeah, that's like, okay, I feel like quarantine has kind of rotten y'all's brains because friends like do like friends flirt with each other, friends like do like gay things together, like I don't know, like holding hands or kissing on the cheek, like stuff like that. That's like normal things that close friends do. When you're close to someone, like, especially I've noticed this a lot in my friend group. A lot of my friends who are straight, like, they like do things like slap each other or like hug each other like in a possessive way. That doesn't mean that they are actually attracted to this person. It just means like, hey, I share a really close bond to you, like girlfriends would. It doesn't necessarily mean like I am trying to trick you all into thinking we are gay, you know? In my opinion, I don't think there's anything wrong with this video. It's clearly just friends having fun. And like, okay, there's like this one argument going around saying like, oh, but if people think it's queerbaiting, then obviously it could be under the notion that like, it's like that dumb thing that's like kind of like, oh, well, I fell for it, so clearly I must have been right. Like, no, that's not how it works. And again, like, I feel like people just like don't understand how friendships work. and how like reality works. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, like, especially our generation, because we're so like, I don't want to be like a boomer right now, but because our generation is so like so like unsocial, I guess, and like introverted, that they don't really understand how like friendships, like close friendships work in real life. Like a lot of people who are close to each other, like will be okay with physical contact with one another because they're like such close friends. Like my mom has friends like that they like my mom personally I don't have a lot of friends that I'm close to in that way because like I'm very like again I'm very like introverted. I guess no, not really introverted. I do talk a lot, but like I'm very introverted when you first get to know me. Then I become like extremely loud and obnoxious. But a lot of people a lot of people who are like more extroverted towards their friends are going to behave in this way, but that doesn't necessarily mean queer baiting. Like, okay, this conversation has also like brought up like can queer baiting actually be a thing that real people do instead of like fictional characters? And my take on it is I don't really necessarily think if real people can queerbait, because queerbait is kind of like I don't know, like a term used again for characters. So, but I do think people can like lead on, I guess, that they're gay, kind of like for attention. Like for example, I think a good example of this is Aiden Ross. If you don't know who Aiden Ross is, he's like another Twitch streamer. He kind of like purposely like flirts with this like in a gay like literally like being like sexually explicit towards his male friends. But he like literally like there's this one like he was like starting to like he was like I'm gonna do a boxing like career now, and it's literally just him with like a toy like a male, you know what I mean, like a dildo, whatever, like just I'm not gonna explain it in full detail. I think that would be a good example, possibly not really queer baiting, but like exploiting being like the idea of being gay to get a reaction. Like that's another thing. I feel like sometimes like people can do that. People can like do gay things for a reaction, and that is questionable. That is probably morally not right. But I don't necessarily think it could be queer baiting because queer baiting would give off like the like queer baiting would give off the idea like you have to give yourself a label or else you can't do this thing. And again, like no one, okay, that's the main thing I think like people are forgetting in this conversation. No one owes you a label. No one owes you like an announcement of their sexuality for them to do something. And it's very weird that people are like saying like you must say that you must explicitly tell us what your sexuality is or else you can't do something. That in my opinion is very stupid because no one owes you. Okay, the idea of coming out is like relies on on the very heteronormative society we live on. In our society, we live in a society. In our society, being straight is the default. Like most people are straight. So people like gay people or queer people are expected to come out because being queer is seen as this like big like extraordinary thing, like out of the ordinary thing. So someone has to explicitly say, "Hey, I'm this label," so people can like acknowledge them as that label. And I think that's very stupid. Like people don't owe you a coming out, if that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to say. Because then like by that same logic, like people would have to explicitly say like I'm straight in order for people to like people do this like with Harry Styles, like he has never explicitly said I'm straight, or Dream, like they've never explicitly said I'm straight. So people kind of like make like go off and say like that because they don't have never explicitly said they're straight, that they don't benefit from like straight privilege, but that's literally not how it works at all. And so that's my opinion on it. Like honestly, I don't think a real person could queerbait unless they are explicitly like doing gay things and then later on saying I'm straight, I just did it for attention. And like there's literally nothing really gay about the video except for again maybe the kissing the girl thing, but again, she didn't actually kiss her. She had like a thing on her mouth. Like she had like those fake lips on her mouth. And so now I want to talk about what this caused. So because she did this whole video and people were trying to like people on TikTok especially were getting mad at her for queer baiting, they found out more about her boyfriend. So people learned some stuff. So she's been dating this guy. I think his name is Matthew Tyler. Yeah, Matthew Tyler. So, people found some old screenshots of his where he said like problematic things, and using that kind of as an excuse to get mad at Billie. And here's the thing: on your on this own, like as a thing, I do think it's a little like weird when people claim to be activists and then date people who are problematic. That is like kind of strange because you claim you care about minorities and whatever, but you don't actually put in the effort in your life by cutting people who hurt minorities out of your life. That is a real thing that people you can criticize someone for. If you are actively friends with someone who is a Republican or someone who does not care about minority voices at all, or is a conservative, and but yet you claim to be an activist, I do think that's a little telling because you're not putting the actual effort into cutting racist or homophobes or transphobes out of your life. That is like a valid criticism of someone. However, and this is a very big however, I don't think that Billie Eilish willingly saw that this guy was a Republican and decided to date him. Because, and this is a very big because, when you look at the dates for this, when you look at the dates for these Facebook posts, they are very early, like they are very not like, they are very like a long time ago. Like this one's from 2012, like the fat shaming, the slut shaming 2012, the F slur 2011, the anti-Asian thing 2012. Now again, this isn't me saying like because they're from a long time ago that they're suddenly okay or that they're acceptable. Of course not. Screw this guy. He sucks. However, what I'm saying is it is very possible that Billie did not see these tweets when she started dating them, or Facebook posts. Because look, these are all from like 9 years ago. And you're telling me that when you start dating someone, that you look through their internet history from 9 years ago? Again, this isn't me saying that because they're from 9 years ago, they're acceptable or that they're okay. But I'm just saying it's very possible, actually I'm willing to bet like mostly possible, that she did not see these these posts when she started dating him, and was under the impression that he was a pretty good guy because his more recent stuff is like not as offensive as this. Like very obviously not as offensive as this. Now again, this isn't saying that they're okay or that she shouldn't like see these now and like kind of reflect, but calling Billie Eilish a terrible person or a fake activist for dating this guy who said like bad things in the past is kind of missing a lot of context because again, these things were from a long time ago, so it's pretty clear that she didn't see them. Like here, I'll give you another example. A few people got mad at like artists for collaborating with Machine Gun Kelly after tweets came, like old tweets of his, like where he like talked about like being attracted to underage girls came out. However, again, like the most attention that those tweets, those tweets calling him out got were like maybe 1,000 likes at most. So I personally believe that most people who collaborated with him at the time did not know about that because again, like it's pretty easy for a tweet with only 1,000 likes to fly under your radar, you know? Like it's kind of, again, people are kind of have this assumption that the world revolves around Twitter and what Twitter sees, or TikTok and what TikTok sees. And because like, well, I saw these screenshots from TikTok or Tumblr or TikTok or Twitter, that must mean that everyone has seen them and everyone must know how problematic this person is. And I don't really necessarily think, again, that's true. Like people, like there's constantly this like emphasis on accountability culture and kind of like cutting out problematic people in your life. And I agree that if someone is like a bad person and you're willingly friends with them, that is very telling. However, that doesn't mean that every person who hangs out with a problematic person knows about their problematic history when they start hanging out with them. Because again, a lot of this stuff that they get called problematic for are from years ago. And again, you're really telling me you go through someone's entire internet history before you start being friends with them? This is why people outside of social media complain about canceling, because like even though it's pretty obvious that this stuff isn't real, like she's still gonna wake up tomorrow and be super rich and famous. This isn't actually gonna affect her life. Like, so yeah, it's obviously not a real thing. However, I understand now, like this kind of made me understand now why people think that like Twitter and like social media is obsessed with cancel culture, because this is very, like, a reach, I guess, to say that she knowingly friends with, like, or knowingly dating this horrible person. So, now, it wasn't enough to get mad at her for that. It wasn't enough to, like, cancel Billie for that. They found stuff, like, they found old stuff from her TikToks or from her whatever social media, and people tried their absolute most to try and make them look problematic. Here, let me show you. Alright, so if you didn't see that, basically, she's like, the title of the thing is, if you can name every song in this, I will pay you. So it's like she's singing a bunch of snippets of a song. And one of them, I guess, kind of sounds like the word, I'm not going to say it actually, but you know what word I'm talking about. Here, I'll show you. That. That. Yeah, right there. So, here's the thing. I don't know if she entirely said it. Like, again, it kind of sounds like chick. Like, in my view. And I think, like, people are kind of reaching to say it sounds like the other word. You know? Like, there's actually no proof that it is actually that word. Unless you can, like, find this sound audio clip and show that the guy is saying that word. And, again, I feel like another thing is she quite possibly did not know this. When, like, that word was a slur when she started doing this. This isn't saying that it's okay. I'm just saying that, like, a lot of context is missing. Like, we don't actually know if she said it. We just know that she said a word that sounds like it. And here's another thing.
What the fuck?
I love my dad, and he's 61.
Okay. Her brother calls her out for talking with a black son. Okay, this is another thing I've noticed a lot in TikToks that focus on calling someone out, is that they don't actually show proof that the caption is what's happening in the video. They just kind of say that and everyone believes it. So, here. Her brother calls her out for talking with a black accent. If you don't know what the black accent is, it's basically when you purposely try to sound like black, like talk in like slang to sound black. Here. But here's like here's what is actually going on in the video. Like, don't ignore the caption, look what's going on in the video.
I love my dad, and he's 61.
Phineas comes in, and all I hear is, which is like the theme song at the beginning of all David Dobrik videos. This shit is funny as fuck.
Okay, so what is actually going on in the video, like, is that Phineas, she is the one making fun of Phineas's voice. He is not calling her out for having a black accent. He is the one coming in and saying, like, random stuff. And then she says that it sounds like the intro to the David Dobrik videos. And by the way, this is from a long time ago, so it's before the whole David Dobrik thing. Like, before he got called out. So, again, like, there's no actual proof that what is going on in the caption of the video is actually what's going on. Like, look, okay, I'll play for you again if you don't believe me.
My dad, and he's 61.
Phineas comes in, and all I hear is, which is like the theme song at the beginning of all David Dobrik videos. This shit is funny as fuck.
So again, that's not actually what's going on in the video. She is the one calling out Phineas for talking. And people just, like, saw the caption and just went with it. Like, oh, this is definitely what's happening, which is not what's actually happening. Okay, now we have the mocking Asians thing. And here's this is the stupidest point I've seen.
This shit is funny as fuck.
That is not her okay, they just saw her talking gibberish and went, yep, she's mocking Asian people. But that's not what nothing in the video shows that is her mocking Asian people. It's just her talking gibberish, and people immediately went to, oh, you're mocking Asian people. Like, look, apparently, like, okay, I don't know if this is entirely true, but I've seen people say that it is her talking to her dog in gibberish. Like, people do that. Like, they talk to their animals in gibberish. They're not mocking people. They're literally just talking in gibberish. And your mind is the one that went to, oh, she's mocking Asian people. Which is very stupid and kind of, like, telling on your behalf. You know? See, look, that's what I'm thinking. Coming from an Asian person, I'm more offended by the people who automatically jump to that conclusion. Like, she was talking to her dog in random noises. I do that with my cat too. Like, see, exactly, like, was not, very obviously not mocking Asian people. She was literally just talking in gibberish. But because the caption said mocking Asian people, people just went with it. Like, again, like, this is a real problem I have with accountability culture, is that they don't actually care about holding people accountable. They just care about canceling people they don't like. So, and I think this cycles back to people who were mad at Billie Eilish for being successful like 2 years ago. Or, no, actually, it was less than 2 years ago, I guess. But, like, again, like, people who were mad at Billie Eilish, they were waiting for something to happen. They were purposely waiting for, like, her to do something, like, problematic for them to finally be like, ugh, this is why I've never liked her. This is why I've always disliked her. This is why I've always thought she's overrated. And it's like, okay, like, you don't actually care about holding her accountable, though? Like, again, like, if you really cared about holding her accountable, you would not need to, like, go through, like, you would not feel the need to always, like, highlight, by the way, I've always thought she was problematic. That's not how it works. Like, if you actually cared about holding people accountable, you would not need to add, like, your personal opinion on them. You would just show the evidence. And again, there is, like, no evidence that she was actually mocking anyone. It's literally just, you hear her saying gibberish, and you immediately went to, that's Asian people, like, she's mocking Asian people. You see her and her brother having a conversation, and you literally just make up what is happening in the situation. Like, again, like, there is no actual proof that Phineas was telling her, like, you're talking in a black accent. She's the one telling Phineas that he's talking random nonsense in the video. And then there's a word that kind of sounds like the Chinese slur, but it could very well, like, mean chick, you know? So, again, I feel like people were just waiting. Like, they saw the queerbaiting thing happening, like, people accusing her of queerbaiting, and they were just waiting for something, like, her to do something wrong, so they could automatically, like, go, like, oh, now we can call her problematic for everything. And it's, like, very telling. Like, if this whole queerbaiting thing wasn't happening, you would have not seen people, like, calling her problematic for, like, talking in gibberish to her dog. Like, it's very obviously, like, you're reaching and reaching and reaching. And the whole boyfriend thing is, people are more mad at her for being, like, in a relationship with someone who made bad tweets 9 years ago than they are at him being 30 years old and dating her, who is, like, that's the thing that people are forgetting. He is 30 and she is 19, and people are more mad at her for dating him than the other way around. And I actually think that is insane. That is actual insanity right there. That you are more mad about that. I don't know. Like, it's just like, if you really cared about accountability, you would be more mad at the guy, not Billie, if that makes sense. Because, like, okay, this isn't me saying that Billie Eilish is a perfect person or that she should, like, face no repercussions for dating a guy who has done problematic things. This is what I'm pointing out to. If she still continues to date him now, even when she knows, like, about his problematic past, then that is telling. You can judge her for that. That makes total sense. However, I do not think it makes sense to see, like, her boyfriend made bad tweets 9 years ago and go, oh, she must have known about those tweets and decided to date him. Again, like, this just kind of shows that you think the world revolves around what you see. So, and another thing. So, again, like, personally, I don't have any problem with the music video, the Lost Cause music video. However, what I do think is a little sketchy is that she immediately, like, followed up, like, the video with, like, this Instagram post. And with the caption, I love girls. Like, here's the thing. If you think she's queerbaiting now, like, because you saw that, I guess that makes a little bit of sense because, I mean, if she saw that people were, like, getting mad at her for queerbaiting and then decided to do this, now I understand, like, kind of where you're getting from. But again, like, is it really worth the point of, like, literally harassing her and calling her all these horrible things because you think she's queerbaiting? Like, okay, to me, this just seems like exclusionism. Because she is 19 years old. She's still figuring herself out. And you're explicitly going, because she hasn't put a label on herself openly in front of everyone, she can't do anything with the same gender. And it's really stupid. It's really, really stupid. So, what I think is important right now is like whatever she like decides to say when this all happens. If she like comes in and just goes like, cancel culture, that'll be a little sketchy of, because it's not really cancel culture to hold your boyfriend accountable for the bad things he said. It's cancel culture for them to automatically assume that you knew about it and get mad at you. That's what I think. So, and if she still decides to date the guy and just kind of goes like, F you for canceling him, then I'd understand why people would be angry about that. And also, like, the whole queerbaiting thing, personally, I do not think she needs to address it, because, again, it is literally just a video of her and her friends hanging out. Oh, by the way, this is a little thing I forgot to mention. Some people are saying that she's doing it for the male gaze, and here, like, you are literally just, like, outing yourself as a misogynist because you see a group of friends doing something and having fun, and you immediately go to, they must doing it to be pleasing men. That is just straight up misogyny. I don't know how to tell you that. Like, woke misogyny. Like, literally just woke misogyny. Like, going, like, seeing a bunch of girls hanging out, and you think they must be doing it to please men. That's just stupid. So, yeah, I think that pretty much, like, concludes with what I have to say. Again, this isn't me saying that she's a perfect person or that she doesn't have to address anything. Personally, if I were her right now, I would, like, kind of, like, explain, like, hey, when I was making the Lost Cause video, I did not think about it in a romantic way. I was literally just hanging out with my friends like me and my friends do. I would explain, like, hey, I know what my boyfriend said is terrible. I am, like, no longer going to see him anymore. And I deeply regret, like, not educating myself on his history before dating him. That is personally what I would do. I'm not saying she has to do all of that, but that is what I would do. And yeah, I think also, like, I guess if she wants to address the TikTok stuff, she could. But personally, I do not think she needs to, because literally nowhere in the video, literally nowhere did she mock or, like, say anything offensive. They were just, like, someone just made a caption where it sounded like she was saying something offensive and jumped to that conclusion. So, yeah, I think that pretty much concludes my thoughts on the whole canceling Billie Eilish situation. There wasn't very much people today for this live stream, but that's okay, because this is, again, like, this is mostly just for me to film the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to watch my podcast. It's every week. And don't forget to follow me, again, on my Twitch. It is at KenzieArrowhead. And I'll do streams, like, again, like, I don't really have, like, a set schedule for streams. I usually do them either Fridays or Saturdays. So, yeah, just stay updated for that, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!